What's happening, Brighton? The short answer is a lot. The long answer is this podcast. What's Up Brighton is a show dedicated to the community we all love.
Hosted by Roger Burnett, Eric Meldrum, and Coach Mark Howell, this podcast will feature news, issues, and discussions impacting Livingston County and celebrate the people who make our slice of Michigan go and grow. This is What's Up Brighton. So there's 31 days and some months, and now we have 31 podcasts, but this is the 32nd episode of the What's Up Brighton podcast. What's happening, everybody? I'm Roger. Guy in the corner over there is Coach Mark.
What up?
Watch out for Coach Mark's DVD. We kind of let that go for a while, but I think that's going to be a great stocking stuffer.
Could be.
Coach Mark's Huddle Up segment now coming on DVD. And then we got the real estate aficionado expert, maybe has something to say to Mark and I about a previous episode. I'm not entirely sure what's happening, Eric.
I can't leave you guys alone for 2 seconds without trying to get into the biz over here.
Into the biz.
Mark's getting his real estate license.
Did
you see the
along
lead?
with half the rest of the world.
Did you see the lead that I sent you?
That lead was hot, and
hot lead.
I think I made some progress with that lead. I'm gonna
Did you call
make
him?
my first sale. I haven't yet called. What was it, like 1-800 eat shit? I haven't yet called that number, but I'm going to soon.
The email was eatshit@.gov.
What?
And it was like,
hey,
the
Mr.
name was like,
1.5%.
I hate Eric. It was like,
No, it was straight up F you.
oh, that's what it was. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
1.5% commission raise.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks. Awesome.
Yeah.
That person really liked Eric a lot. It was
Yeah, they love me.
lovely.
Yeah. That's how you get to look forward to get into the business. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So,
I
Good
don't
to
know.
know. Good to know.
I think we just wanted to talk shit about it. I don't know that we necessarily wanted to get in.
well, you guys were accurate about some of the things.
Okay,
I don't even
wait.
remember the topic.
Yeah,
My
it was
mind
it
is-
was the NAR lawsuit. So you guys
Okay.
were like,
Got it.
Did you hear all about this like NAR lawsuit? Like,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Wait, I'm pretty sure I
don't
said
know.
I didn't know anything about it.
No,
Yeah, you didn't know anything about it. Roger schooled you on it.
we nailed it.
Yeah, Roger,
We
Nailed
freaking
it.
nailed it.
Mark was like, got it. I'm not selling my house, but
Got
understood.
it.
Got it.
So pray tell, Mr. Meldrum, where did we get it right and where did we get it wrong?
Yeah. So you guys are generally accurate in terms of there was some changes that happened in the industry, and really what this kind of stemmed out of was a class action lawsuit of homeowners in Missouri that sued the real estate industry, primarily a class action lawsuit towards NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors, for colluding on prices and fixing prices. And the argument was that home sellers did not know that they were paying a buyer's agent's commission when signing a listing agreement. Even though it's outlined as cooperating compensation, they didn't realize that they were paying the buyer's agent compensation. Now, I've been on many listing appointments, and every time I explain, this is my fee, this is the fee that goes to the buyer's agent, here's why you should or shouldn't, offer a buyer's agent compensation, whole long thing. But I think it's laughable. The lawyers are the ones that made out like bandits on this.
Of course.
As
Right.
always.
Yeah.
So,
Weird.
Here we are, talking about, we're going to make it better for homeowners, or we're going to make it better for buyers and sellers and bring more transparency to the industry. Okay. That was the outcome of the lawsuit, and like the narrative that the lawyers were really kind of pushing throughout this, saying real estate agents are fleecing homeowners, fleecing them with their egregious fees and all of this stuff. Okay. So anyways, all of these big brokerages, including my brokerage, they settled, right? Because they didn't want this thing coming back around and like, we just want this done.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
Like,
make it gone.
Business as usual. Like, let's get back to helping families and helping people actually move, in this country. So NAR settled for like $400 and some million. The attorneys walked away with close to 40% of that,
Of course.
So who's
Yep.
fleecing who here, right? The homeowners that started the class action lawsuit, I mean, they might've got like $30, maybe $3. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's laughable, and then they're also sending out mailers to homeowners. There's like a
of course.
second lawsuit coming. It's laughable. But here's the actual crux of what changed. Right?
Okay.
After
If you were a victim.
Yep.
that's all.
It came in the mail. I've already seen it.
Have you got one in the
Yeah,
mail?
100%.
Yeah, you've seen it. So the actual crux of what changed was NAR implemented a couple of things that the DOJ was really pushing for. Right. So when you start seeing the Department of Justice get involved, it's like, oh, okay, what do you guys want the outcome to be on this? Because the DOJ was in part of the appeal. And so you're like, okay, why is the DOJ involved? Like, what do they want out of this? And they wanted the decoupling of cooperative compensation.
Oh.
Okay, so they didn't want a broker to broker cooperative compensation anymore. They wanted that to all be negotiated between the seller and their listing agent and the buyer and their buyer's agent. Okay. And then in the middle, it's a negotiation of how the buyer agent gets paid. It's not 100% necessary for a seller to offer that. So what the local MLSs and National Association of Realtors has done is basically taken the cooperative compensation out of the MLS. Whereas before, we would have known exactly what a seller was willing to pay a buyer's agent to bring a qualified buyer and purchase the home. And that's completely gone. That no longer exists in the MLS anymore. So as an agent, we can no longer see what a seller would be willing to pay. Okay. The second thing was that prior to engaging in any real estate related activity, including a showing with a buyer, you have to have a written agreement, whether it's a buyer broker agreement or some written agreement that outlines how are you getting paid as a professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that normally didn't happen before. Like you would be used to picking up the phone, calling somebody in the business or maybe an online portal and just saying, hey, I saw this house online. I want to go take a look at it. And there would be a dozen agents happy to jump in their car, go meet you at the house, show you the house with the opportunity to get a sale.
Mm-hmm.
So now what that really does is you have to, as a buyer, as this is like a consumer, narrative, is like you have to figure out, is this agent that I'm going to see this house with, that I'm signing paperwork for, are they the right agent for me to work with?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And for me, it's really, really apparent because on listing appointments, a seller, they'll interview 4 or 5 agents.
Sure.
Not uncommon to, interview a couple of agents like, hey, how much do you think my home is worth? What's your marketing plan? Like, what value am I getting for the services that you're offering? And nobody really did that with the buyer's agents.
Right.
Right. You would just work with somebody that you knew, right? Not knowing like, are they the best agent? Are they the most knowledgeable agent? How many homes have you sold? Like, not once have I ever been interviewed as a buyer's agent.
No.
Never.
Agreed.
Right. And so many people do that where they're like, oh, my cousin's in the business. She'll just help me buy a home. Or like we have somebody that we know in the business. How do you know they're the best agent for you? How do you know you're getting the right representation? Right.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why I think there's a big persona of unprofessionalism in the industry, because there's a lot of part-time agents.
Sure.
Right. A lot of agents that sell 1 or 2 homes that, so that's besides the point. But so now as a consumer, you have to have a written agreement with an agent if you want to use them to look at a property.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't want to use them, go to the open houses. You can go direct to a listing agent, but even so, like that listing agent is going to say the same thing. Like, hey, I need something in writing that says, here's my services, here's what I'm getting paid. And oh, by the way, I'm representing the seller also. So I can't really represent you at the same time. So those are the 2 that changed. The commission comes out of the MLS. Buyers now have to sign what's called a buyer broker agreement or a showing agreement, for that one particular property. And those changes have kind of swept the industry, trying to figure out like how does all this work?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now what's happening behind the scenes in a lot of listings is we're having the conversations with buyers, right? We have the interview, have a buyer's consultation, we go through steps of service, and now we have to have the conversation about commission, right? Here's how commissions work in the industry, and they have to make a decision. Do I move forward with a buyer's agent? Do I not? right? And it's even a little bit deeper than that. Like most people want representation, but the question is, how do you get paid, right? If I don't have the money to pay you out of pocket,
right?
How does all this work, right? If there's really no guarantee that the seller is willing to cover the compensation, for that. So there's really 3 ways that an agent now on the buyer side can get paid. It's either direct from the seller, direct from the buyer, or it's a combination of the two. Buyer's going to pay a little bit, seller's going to pay a little bit, and they can, figure out what makes the most sense. So most sellers, and this hasn't really changed much, I haven't seen, at least since they implemented it, but most sellers are still offering a cooperative compensation. It's just negotiated into the contract now. So along with the purchase offer, we'll just write into the contract, seller to pay, my buyer's agent's commission of X, whatever it is.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that I see going wrong with it. There's a lot of like conversations. The one thing it has done is brought more transparency to how commissions work. Now, although it's bringing more transparency to how commissions work, still not bringing any transparency to what a seller is willing to offer, right? And you can look at that as a good thing or a bad thing. I'm actually embracing it and saying like, look, it's not a bad thing, because now the offer that you're putting forward, if your strategy is like your agent's willing to work for 2.5% or 2%, maybe that gives you the upper hand, so like, okay, go out and get a discount broker, but like be careful what you ask for. Are they really experienced in it, or are they just pushing the paperwork and they're not going to do anything else besides, submit the offer, right? So there's a lot more I could go into, but that's the gist of it. You guys got it.
From the non-professional perspective, I'm feeling pretty good about what we talked about. Now, I want to go look at my neighbor's house because I'm nosy. I feel like this is going to put the kibosh on that, because now I got to go find somebody to sign with, go through all that process of signing paperwork before I even see the house.
So you have a couple options. I mean, you can sign a buyer broker agreement, and it can have a week term, it can have a month term, it can have a 6-month term, to it. You can sign a single property, agreement that says, hey, you're showing me this house and it's for this house only.
Got it.
All right. But if I go look at 10 other houses with another agent, that I have all these single properties for, they're only specific to the house.
So, but then I would have to sign that 10 times.
You'd have to sign it 10 times, like 10 other agents with the same agent.
Okay. But to me, this is going to eliminate, I'm lazy and I'm just nosy.
Go to the open house. That's it.
If there's an open house.
Yeah.
Right. And for that reason, I'm very grateful as someone who had his house for sale and watched what assuredly felt like not real buyers walk through my home.
Tire kickers.
100%. And it's infuriating when I've gone to all this trouble to put myself in a position to have my house be available for purchase.
Right.
And know that that's not a qualified candidate walking through the door.
Right.
Right. So I think there are some ways that this is going to help. But anytime you introduce this level of change into something that is for most Americans, the single most nerve-wracking, scary thing they do with finances in their entire lives, is not a great thing without more protections. Because to me, I feel like whether I knew for sure exactly what was going on behind the scenes and how much this person was getting paid or that person was getting paid, I knew the system and I knew the process and I knew what I needed to do in order to go see a house. And it didn't require me to have to sort of mentally prepare myself for the fact that I'm going to be paying somebody and this is how much it's going to be. And I like that complexity to me, I feel like is going to represent a bit of a barrier.
Yeah.
At a moment when supply is low and demand is high. It just seems like it's adding an additional layer of complexity into what's already a challenging process.
100%. I mean, it puts pressure on buyers to think objectively about that and say, well, am I better off maybe just going direct to the listing agent and going unrepresented? Because that's an option too. You can have somebody drop the paperwork and submit the offer. That's always been the option. Just like you can sell your house on your own.
Sure.
For sale by owner. That's always the option there. But what I look at is, like as a buyer, you're now faced with this decision based off of a financial commitment. Okay, I'm hiring you as a buyer's agent. Okay, and this is the way I kind of walk our clients through it. Right? Is look, I go through the commission. Right? This is how commissions work in the industry. Okay, you can do all the things that I just talked about. You can go unrepresented. You can go direct to the listing agent. Here's what you're missing out on, from a level of service perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some things that can go wrong with it. Now, when you hire us as your buyer's agent, here's the things that we're going to do, right? Which is most agents can't go through that value proposition. They can't explain like what services are you getting,
mm-hmm.
From buyer's agent. That's why generally people think, oh, you just open doors.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh yeah, just open doors. Like that is the last thing that I do. There's probably 95% of the work that goes into, getting a buyer qualified, right? Introducing them to a lender, making sure that they have all their finances. If it's a sale contingency on them selling their home and buying a new one, walking through that timeline, right? Getting a game plan together. I mean, there's so much more work that goes into it than just like, oh, you want to buy a house and you're selling we'll go.
No problem.
Right. If without coordination, we could be writing an offer on a home and we have no idea what the sale of their home looks like. I'm like, well, that doesn't work because you're not going to have the funds from the sale of your home to do it. So we walk them through that. But the thing that I see most buyers struggling with right now is just the commitment of, well, I have to sign up for the commission.
Yep.
Right. I have to agree to pay that.
Yep.
Right. Even if a seller is not like, what if the house that I want is not offering commission? All right. So it's putting buyers in a really unique predicament,
mm-hmm.
Just the dichotomy of the change of that.
Yep.
And I always let them know, like, look, our first, goal is to get the seller to agree to our commission, okay, as part of the terms. Now, you can always ask for concessions too. So, and there's nothing saying you need to move forward with that house.
Right.
Nothing saying you need to move forward with the house. If this is the perfect house and the seller is like, I'm not willing to pay concessions, I'm not willing to pay your buyer's agent, like I'm totally against that. All right. It's still part of the negotiation. If you're the only offer on the table and they are just stuck, it's no different than a seller saying, I'm stuck at my number.
Yeah.
Right. Listed my house for $550. I will not take a penny less. Okay. Well, I need to pay my agent. So how about I give you $559, right? And I get $9,000 back in concessions, right? Which is what a lot of people are doing. Got a lot of problems with that because it's arbitrarily inflating, purchase prices.
Sure.
So if that keeps happening, then it's like, okay, the next neighbor
Property values are a mess.
who is offering the compensation, now they are at $559 as a comp. It's like, well, do we subtract the commission? It's just a mess.
There it is.
Right?
There it is, right there. That's the quagmire right there.
So at the end of the day, like it just becomes even more important now than ever before that you're linked up and partnered up with somebody that you trust, somebody that's professional, somebody that's good at their job, just like anything else. And you don't try and go it alone and do it yourself. You link up with somebody awesome and you say, I trust you. Biggest purchase of my life. Like, go crush it for me. Away we go.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's all. Like, I was sitting here like, I don't understand any of this stuff, and I don't want to. Like, I would hire Eric, and I'd call it a day, and I'd be like, go do my stuff for me, buddy.
You don't try to like, do your own dentist work. You don't try to do
yes,
that.
I do. Just don't you fucking come at me with that.
Doorknob string. Come on, bro.
Right.
Tooth Fairy gave me 20 that time.
I once punched my brother square in the face. I knocked his tooth clean out. It was awesome.
He won that round.
And I made him split the Tooth Fairy money with me too.
Yeah, but it causes a lot of like, just those minute things that you don't really think about. It's like, okay, how do you overcome that? And
sure.
It's just throwing complexity into it. But what I go back to is, the system wasn't broken. You as a homeowner, all those homeowners that threw their hat into the ringer that said, hey, well, I want to be part of this class action lawsuit. I didn't know that I was paying buyer's agent. You bought the house. You were the one that bought the house and benefited from this system that we have.
Yep.
Right. And at the end of the day, the buyer is actually the one paying the commission. The buyer is the one, because they're bringing all of the funds to finance.
Yeah.
House is only
That makes
worth what
sense.
a buyer and a seller would agree to pay for. So if the buyer can't finance that, just like you bought the home, you're kind of paying it forward.
Sure.
Like, I don't know a lot of buyers who have the down payment, the closing costs, and the commission.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then when you sell your home, you're just basically passing that along. So why not just roll that into the finances?
Are you or a loved one struggling with the effects of stroke? The Oxford Center in Brighton, Michigan offers a cutting-edge alternative stroke treatment that can help stroke victims even years after having a stroke. Our approach combines traditional medicine with evidence-based alternative therapies, including hyperbaric oxygen therapy. This advanced treatment involves breathing pure oxygen in a specialized environment that can stimulate the growth of new blood vessels and promote healing in the brain. We also offer physical therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy programs to help patients regain their strength, coordination, and ability to communicate. Time is of the essence when it comes to stroke recovery. Contact the Oxford Center today at 248-486-3636 or visit our website at theoxfordcenter.com to learn more about our alternative stroke treatment options, including hyperbaric oxygen therapy. That's 248-486-3636 or visit theoxfordcenter.com.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and to me, that what we're talking about really, when I read for the first time what this was about, my initial reaction was, so I'm buying a house, it means I've got to bring a check to closing. And that's no good, because that's not really, with the exception of instances where that's required, which is small by comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a frightening proposition for your average home buyer, because they've never been presented with and you're going to have to bring a check.
Well,
Right.
it all changes on mortgage qualification too.
Sure.
All right. If you think about it, when you're going to get pre-approved for a mortgage, they're looking at your assets. Do you have the money for the down payment? Do you have the money for the closing costs? All those things are estimated based on the purchase price and your loan approval. That's how you get approved. So we've had circumstances where, we've actually ran into this, like, the buyer is not qualified. They're qualified if the seller's paying the commission.
Mm.
They're not qualified for that amount if they have to bring the money to closing.
Wow.
Right? They actually have to. They're still qualified.
Sure.
But it's less of a purchase price.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So now it just like opens up this whole entire new realm of like mortgage qualifications. Who's paying it at what point? Like, this has always been the case when we have clients that are between single family homes and condos. We have one pre-approval letter for single family homes, one pre-approval letter for a condo, because it's actually less. There's condo association fees they have to pay.
Right.
So that comes into play. It's like, if you're looking for a $300,000 or single family home, you're probably actually approved for like $275 on the condo.
Right.
Just because of the extra payment.
Got it. Well, on behalf of all home buyers and sellers in the greater Brighton area, thank you, Eric, for giving us a solid lesson on what sucks about it, what is good about it. And at sum total, I feel pretty good about my back in that episode. Mark's already forgotten about it.
You weren't wrong. I mean, it was generalities, in terms of it. But I think it's good for the industry, because you got more people that are going to pay attention now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of agents that are just part-time getting out of the business. They can't even articulate how this is changing. Even on August 17th, when this change happened for real, there were agents who were like, we were submitting forms on a listing, like, what is this new form? Like, has your brokerage not even like mentioned this at all? They're like, well, we heard something about it. I'm like,
wow,
dude, we already made these changes literally 3 weeks before this all happened.
Right.
Like, we've been prepping for this for months, knowing that this is coming. And there's a lot of agents out there, and I'll tell you, it's the older crowd of agents, the people that are so far disconnected from kind of the advancements that the industry has made. There's old school, mom and pop, brokerages, and they are just so far behind the times, even with technology and just the information and the legal stuff that's happening, which is a shame.
Yeah,
because that's who a lot of people turn to and trust. Like, oh, they've been in the industry for like 30 years. They know. It's like, there's a big change, and if that person doesn't know, like, tells you all you need to know about how in tune with things they really are.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%. I mean,
That makes sense.
If you're into football and you don't know the scores from any of the games, are you really into football? I mean, what are we talking about here? This is supposed to be what you do for a living, and this is really important.
You're a fair weather fan.
Oh yeah.
Fair weather fans. So, all right. Well, that's. I think we'll probably end up back on this topic again at some point because I don't think this thing's over yet.
Well, it'll be interesting, and I don't think it's over at all. They've already made headlines, and they're already snooping. Like, the DOJ is watching. Trust me. Like, they're transactions that are happening right now. Like, our brokerage, we just hired we've never even had this role in the company before. We just hired somebody as chief transaction officer. Like, the whole entire compliance department just got that much bigger in our brokerage, which is close to 90,000 agents.
Wow.
Around the whole entire world.
Sure.
And just looking at that alone, like, okay, they're putting a lot of attention on this.
Right.
And the DOJ is also saying, we are going to be watching, because those attorneys that tried the case, they are just sitting
waiting
on the sidelines and waiting for someone to slip up.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Because there's still brokerages out there that are participating in cooperating compensation. Right. And because
they're violating.
It's not violating. So the local MLSs and local boards are still allowing it. It's really at a state level.
Got it.
Right. So, like, we do business in Florida and Michigan. So Michigan and Florida both still allow cooperating compensation to occur. They have the forms for it. Our brokerage said, we understand what the narrative of the DOJ is and what their intent is. We're just not cooperating with that. So we don't have any of our listing agreements are completely changed. They're open sourced. Any other brokerage can use them if they want to. We didn't put our logo on them. So that they were like the trailblazer of kind of leading some of these changes in the forms. They had a whole buyer packet, a whole listing packet that for their agents, like, here's the new forms. We're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
It's all open source. So we don't have the cooperating compensation, and we have the forms now. When we submit an offer, it's directly to the seller. Like, if you're the agent, I'm not negotiating with you. My form says compensation agreement from seller to buyer broker. And that's immediate to the seller. Like, the agent has no bearing. Like, you have your listing agreement with them. That's fine. That's between you guys. Here's my fee that I'm asking you to pay.
Got it. All right.
Okay. Rock and roll.
My brain is hurting.
Yeah, I basically what you just told me was I just need to win the lotto, and then I just pay cash for stuff and be like, here, I don't need to worry about any of this.
Long story short, win the lottery.
Win the lottery.
Buy what you want. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's always been the answer. It's just make more money.
Just make more money. At the end of the day, sell your way out of it.
That's inflation 101. Make more money.
Just make more money.
Well, but, what a great segment for somebody that wants to know more, to be able to go back to and get the lowdown in language that is relatively easy to understand, right? And so yet another community service from the What's Up Brighton podcast.
And if it was confusing, just reach out to me.
There you go.
Because on the
to
page...
fueric.com.
Yes.
That's where you can find them.
Eat shit at .gov.
As found
No, it was FU at eatshit.gov.
There it was, yeah.
Was this like one of the applications for get into the page?
No, this was a lead that I got on my website.
I saw he shared it on like a story or something the other day, and I commented on it because I was like, "Oh, that sounds like a hot lead," or whatever it was.
The hottest
and
lead.
it was unbelievable.
I making a fun about it. You get those from time to time. Someone's just like,
what's awesome is like somebody like took time out of their life to go to find your website, to go there to create that. It's like, what's wrong with you people? Like, what is wrong with you? I hope you're watching this right now. I'll be like, hey, dude, get a life. Like, you are an idiot.
Never understood it. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, here's the thing. They're searching for something. They come across my website, and then they get hit with a form. Right? It's a pop-up form for registration on the site to lead capture. you can go to any other site you want. Like when I get a pop-up and I don't want to fill it out, I bounce.
Right.
Like instead of filling, just
Why would you waste 5 more minutes to fill it out? Be like,
I have no idea.
pop-up guy, watch this.
I'm telling you, people have just like this anger in them. They're like,
absolutely.
I'll show him.
Maybe you
I
should
got
go
his
for a
information.
run. You know,
I got his information there. That's
join a pickleball team
crazy.
because you're probably an old grumpy dude.
Guess who did not sign a buyer's agent agreement? F you guy.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, shit.
Not a chance.
No, F you guy.
And unfortunately, he did not qualify for his loan.
And is it okay? And for this whole time, I've held on to it because it wasn't a proper moment. But every time you said DOJ, all I wanted to say was DO double J. Every freaking time. That's every time. I sat here holding it the whole time. Every time you'd say it, I couldn't take you seriously. I'm just like, I want you to just be like DO double J, the DO double J.
They gangsta.
Snoop DO double J. You know?
There you go.
Snoop's done with the Olympics. Now he's moved on to
That's
the
right.
DO double J.
That's right.
He
can do anything. He can do
anything.
anything.
Somebody wrote on one of my social feeds that Snoop Dogg is a national treasure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. He kind of is. You know?
I had my daughters going for a little bit because they're like really into Taylor Swift. So they asked me like, "Who's your favorite artist? Like, who's your favorite singer, Dad?" And I'm like, "Eminem." And they're like, "Is that like the Candy?"
Like
Oh,
Candy's,
please.
Candy's really good, but
I'm like, "Well, it's not. Yes, it sounds like Eminem, the Candy, but it's actually spelled this way." So I schooled them on that. And then it was like 2 weeks later, we were on a road trip, going up north, and we're playing games, just asking questions, just car games. And my daughter goes, "All right, top 3 artists. Mom, go. Dad, go."
Yeah.
Right. And I was blanking on some of them. So I was like, let me F with them a little bit. And I go, well, Eminem's number 1. Number 2, Skittles. Skittles.
they're like,
Brains were exploding in the back seat.
Yeah.
Really?
Is 3 Starburst?
And my youngest goes, is that a real singer? I'm like, yeah, it's a real singer. And she goes, "Alexa, play a song by Skittles."
There's probably somebody.
Trust me, there was a song.
course there is.
Was a
Of
song
course
that
there
came
is.
up. And it was like this weird, like techno house music
Yes.
song. I'm like, oh
Awesome.
my gosh, this is
So
so.
Eric's
funny.
in the front seat going,
Yeah.
I love this. Skittles.
it was great.
How would you answer that question, Mark?
That is fantastic.
Who's your favorite artist?
top 3? Oh my gosh.
If
I
you
don't-
can't go 3, I'm not going to.
I feel like any top answers, like it's so granular. Like it's so difficult because it's just I go like with the wind a little bit. If I had to pick, I'm more like if I had to pick like one song to hear for the rest of my life, and that was the song that I would like embrace or whatever, it would
the
be
Macarena.
It would probably be I don't know.
He's
Probably
gonna say Eye of the Tiger.
No,
Nice.
but probably around that genre. It'd be by the outfield, most likely. I'd probably pick the outfield.
All
That
right.
would be it. Yeah. Yep. But it's not necessarily a favorite band. Just one song. Just over and over,
Whatever I'm
repeat.
feeling. Just like whatever speaks to me.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
services like Spotify
Oh, beautiful.
ruined having favorite artists.
True.
'Cause now you don't spend time like with
Yep.
an artist catalog.
That's true.
You bounce around and like, because you have this on your playlist, let me recommend this other song that sounds exactly like the song. It's like, well, geez,
Yep.
how about if I want to hear something different?
Yeah, Spotify and social media in general, you can literally go on to any, TikTok and there's artists, songs I haven't even heard of before. They produce one song and it's like, it's a hit. I'm like, you don't know who that is? I'm like, I have no clue.
No clue.
Yeah.
No clue
Yeah.
who
Yep.
any of the artists are nowadays. I feel like my dad. I'm so out of touch with that stuff. But it's a good thing because I don't have to worry about
Exactly.
all this nonsense.
There you go.
Exactly.
True story.
Any artist that I would mention would just reveal my age. So I will refrain from that and say it's like picking from your children. Like, that's not fair. I like too many different genres, too many different artists, too many different.
Well, why don't you just tell us who your favorite kid is?
And that's also not. They don't watch though. I could probably get away with it.
You probably could.
Somehow I feel like it would make it back to them, and then that would really make the holidays awkward.
Yeah, we'll clip it.
We'd have fun with it.
You think if you had a realtor in your family, that's one awkward conversation. You find out that you're not your kid's favorite kid.
Right?
Yeah, I was watching a episode on how to buy a house, and Dad told me that I'm not his favorite kid. I'm not coming to Thanksgiving or Christmas. I'm out of the family.
Yeah. Good luck seeing your grandson.
Right?
That wouldn't work out.
Ever.
That's funny.
All right, gents. We're at 29. We got anything else that is a germane topic today? Or are we good?
No. Well, if you're looking to buy a house, just give me a shout.
Boom.
Boom. There it is.
People buy from people they know, like, and trust. And the best way to establish trust is to be super transparent. And if you're already doing it, chances are people probably already trust you. And that's the way we just probably can leave it at that, right?
That's it.
All right. So that's it. That's all. That's everything. 32 in the books, boys.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal. I love it. So if you like this episode and have not yet subscribed, please, by all means, we'd love to see growth in our subscriber numbers. And if there's someone that you know that seemingly is completely missing out on this kind of knowledge when it comes to buying or selling a home, please, by all means, book link this mark for future reference, because maybe somebody might need it at some time in the future. Until then, 32 in, I'm feeling old.
Book link this mark. Bookmark this link.
Bookmark this link.
I
said I was feeling old.
I had to process it for a minute. I was
said,
like, wait,
I'm
it
feeling
sounded
old.
weird.
Give it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Give it a thumbs up. And until next time, this is Roger signing out.